Hello and welcome to Toy Polloi 2, and today we have an unboxing as I've just received this box from James. Now he got in touch with me a few weeks back to say that he had a whole load of vintage action figures like Fisher-Price, things like that, that he didn't want and he would like to donate to the channel. I said that would be great because those are the sort of things that I like to fix up and like to work on. So the box has just arrived. I'm not really 100% sure what's in there, but I know there is Fisher-Price adventure people. So let's just get on and open it and see what he sent in. Okay, so there is a note and it says, Dave, here's a small donation as a thank you for all the great content you have produced over the years. As a particular fan of Wabi Sabi, I think you should find these all fall comfortably into that category. So hopefully you'll find some mileage in restoring them to their former glory. I've also included some, I won't say those bits, but he says included some other bits which, whilst not exactly vintage, have clocked up over a decade in age already, so they're getting there. All right, okay. Many thanks, James. Let's take a look at what is inside this box. As I say, I know there's some Fisher-Price. Oh look, there is. There's a whole bag of Fisher-Price. We've got another bag which looks like it's got some Battlestar Galactica and Black Hole. There's a few other bits here and some Star Wars. Let me rearrange my desk and we can actually start going through these because it looks like there's a lot of interesting stuff. Okay, let's start with one bag. This looks like Star Wars pieces in here, so let's pour these out and we can see exactly what they are and what sort of condition they are in. Right, so we have a few Hoth figures. We've got just a Hoth Rebel there who is missing the end of his hand. We've got Han Solo in Hoth disguise missing a foot. The amount of Han Solo Hoth figures I have that have feet missing is quite incredible. I wonder what happens to them. It's always a problem. I probably have a spare foot for him, so we can, chances are we'll get him fixed up. We have a Han Solo Endor trench coat. Again, missing a foot. Where do these feet keep going? We have a R2-D2 sensor scope, which feels like it's got the legs glued in place. Does the top move? The top moves but doesn't click, and those legs feel like they are glued on, so he's a project. We have another R2-D2 here, which is a sensor scope one. Actually not in too bad condition. Just take the sensor scope out of that one and you've got a reasonable figure. Bit of a battered sticker, but I like them looking like that, so that's a nice little figure there. We have got a few FX7s in various states of damage. Missing the claw, missing the bottom, which again seems to be a very common issue, so there's at least one good FX7 to be made out of those. We have a 21B there, which is just missing the little mouthpiece thing, again a very common issue. And then we've got a bag of other figures. What's going on in here? Well, there's another 21B there, which is just missing an arm, but he has the little mouthpiece thing, so we can swap those and make one good figure. We got a Reese with a damaged head. Oh, poor chap. It's one of my favourite figures, that one, so I'm definitely going to fix him up. Best been Luke Skywalker without his head, and then we have an Imperial officer's head. Do you know what? I think I have an Imperial officer's body without the head, so maybe we can do something with that as well. And then a couple of pieces of Lego. So some really cool Star Wars pieces there, and all battered and broken, but all great for projects. This next bag just has two figures in it, and these are Action Force SAS guys. Actually not looking too bad at all. These figures really take quite a battering. You often see them in a very sort of sorry state, but these ones don't look bad at all. They've got all of their fingers, which is pretty unusual, and most of the paint is looking in pretty reasonable condition as well. So a couple of nice Action Force SAS guys there. This next bag looks like Black Hole and Battlestar Galactica. We've got a couple of Black Hole figures here. We've got Dr. Kate McRae. She's looking a little bit worn and her O-ring is a bit loose, but otherwise not in bad condition at all. Oh, actually I can see someone has glued her fingers on there. Normally the thumbs on these Mego figures have broken off. So yeah, that's nice that she still has her thumbs, and that hand can be repaired a little bit better, I'm sure. And then we have, who is this? I've forgotten his name for a minute. Dan Holland, I think his name is. Looks like his head has been glued on. What about that one? Yeah, the head on that one feels like it's been glued on, and he's got bits of paint and sort of other marks all over him. But again, not a bad figure. Those can be fixed up. We've got a few Battlestar Galacticas. We've got an Ovian missing the cape. They are always missing the cape, but I have a video showing you how to make those, so that's an easy fix. We've got Commander Adama. He's missing his cape. I should really get around to making some capes for these because they can be pretty easy to do, and it's one thing that a lot of people have asked me, so at some point I really should get around to that. And then we have a Daggett, which is missing the tail, but I see there's a spare tail here for the other colour of Daggett, or is this a reproduction tail? might be a reproduction tail, just looking at the sort of mould lines on it. So possibly you can get that fitted onto there and get him all fixed up, which would be a nice little fun project as well. So some nice Battlestar Galactica and black hole pieces. A quick note here, this is actually Alex Durant. I got the name wrong. I'm terrible at remembering the names for some of these figures, but yeah, this one is actually Alex Durant, not Dan Holland. Now we come to a really fun looking bag. This is all vintage Fisher-Price Adventure People figures. I've been collecting these for quite a few years now. At one point nobody was really collecting them and they were very easy to find. Now I think a few more people have started to realise how sort of cool they are and have started to collect them, but you can still pick them up pretty cheaply. So this is quite a sort of mixed bag of figures. I'm hoping in here there are some that I don't have. I think there's only about 70 in the collection to get, and I'm probably at about 45 or 50 of them so far. So every once in a while I will find one I don't have. In fact, I can see one straight away here I don't have, which is this sort of stunt car driver guy. I've got the red version of him, but I don't have the yellow version. So let's open up this bag and see what's inside and see which ones I don't have. There we go, there are all of the Fisher-Price figures laid out. There's actually only one I can see that I don't have. Some of them look in better conditions than the ones I have in my collection, so I'm certainly going to be swapping a few out. But yeah, this one is a figure I've been after for a while. He is, I think, a stock car driver or a stunt car driver. I had this one as a kid. He comes in different versions and different colours. You often see this version with these sort of red overalls, but it was the yellow one I'm after, so that is really cool. Got a little bit of paint and a bit of dirt on him, so he needs a bit of a clean up, but that is definitely a figure that I need for my collection. The rest are all actually really nice figures. Always Fisher-Price figures are beaten up and played with. That was the whole point of them, and they just seem to stand the test of time. There's never anything particularly broken on them, it's just the paint has worn. And I think we've got two figures here which I'm going to say aren't Fisher-Price figures. They do look a lot like the Adventure People, but they're not. This guy here I think is from Tonka. Let's have a look at his leg, and you can generally see it says on them Tonka rather than Fisher-Price. Yeah, that one's from Tonka. And this guy, he does look like Fisher-Price. I'm not quite sure which line he's from, but it isn't a Fisher-Price figure. You can see he has the same sort of bent arm that the Adventure People have, but he has these detachable feet. In fact, one of them is missing, and that clearly tells me that this is not an Adventure People figure, but I'm guessing he's sort of been confused for one in the past. But it doesn't matter. All of these figures are lovely. I'm going to give them a good clean, as I say, and pick out the ones that are better than the ones I have in my collection and swap them in. But it's always nice to see these figures. I just think they are absolutely fantastic toys to play with, and I remember playing with them as a child. You could just do whatever you wanted to with them. There was no backstory to the figures. They just came as either carded figures or with a vehicle, and I just used to play with them and love them. In fact, my very favourite childhood figure of all time is this, which is the Fisher-Price Frogman. I've done a few little videos on him. This figure always brings back such joy to me. He used to sit in my pocket and go everywhere with me. In fact, the one I had as a child didn't have any markings left on him. I think most of his paint had gone because he'd been on so many adventures with me as a child. They are just fantastic little toys. This final bag contains the extra bits, which James said were the Ralph McQuarrie concept figures. So these are sort of, I'm going to say, relatively modern Star Wars figures. For me, they're relatively modern, but he says they're about 10 years old. So we've got a Stormtrooper here. So this is the sort of concept version of a Stormtrooper. We have the concept version of Chewbacca, who looks rather strange indeed. Then we have a couple of other figures, which I'm going to guess are maybe Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Yeah, let's say that one's Luke Skywalker and this one is Han Solo, with a selection of weapons as well, and even a coin. So what coin is this one? This is the Ralph McQuarrie concept coin for Luke Skywalker. So I was right, that one is Luke Skywalker. They're pretty cool figures. I remember seeing them in the shops, but they weren't sort of the type of thing that I buy, but they do look cool indeed. So yeah, I'm going to have an interesting time sort of looking those up. Even the Stormtrooper has a little shield there, so yeah, pretty cool figures. So there we go, there are all of the figures that James has sent in. They are certainly a sort of mixed selection in various states of disrepair. I always like Star Wars figures like this where they've got heads missing and legs missing, because those are pretty fun projects. And I have a bag of sort of broken pieces. Every once in a while I go in there and I'll find enough of one sort of figure broken in various sort of different ways that I can put back together. And I do think I've got some pieces that I can repair, at least a couple of those. I've certainly got a few Han Solo Hoths, and I've definitely got some R2-D2 bits, so that's going to be a fun project. And then of course, the adventure people, those are just lovely figures. At some point I should do a sort of update video over on Toy Polloi showing my entire collection, because they're just lovely figures and I think more people should be into collecting them. But as you can see, it's just a nice mix of stuff that he sent in. So a massive thanks to James. I'm going to be putting some Toy Polloi bits back in the post to him as a small thank you from me. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And if you've really enjoyed it, then head on over to my main channel Toy Polloi and subscribe there as well. And thanks for watching.